Okay, so welcome to Infinite Realms. Don't forget to like and subscribe because you should like everything I do because I'm very needy. No, I'm not. But anyway, let's get going. So, heroes, we know them, we love them, and sometimes they need a break, or they get fired, or something happens. And then they're replaced. This has happened a lot in comics, and a lot of people think it was like, Azrael and Batman. No, it happened before that. It was happening a long time before that. There was Jim Rhodes well, I can supply tons of examples, but this time I'm just going to go through a bunch that I think are my favorites of those people who replace superheroes for a time. Some of them still wear that cape. Some of them don't. Doesn't matter. We'll go through them anyway. So number 10 is John Stewart. John Stewart to me, favorite Green Lantern, Hal. Second favorite, John. Easy. Of course there's Kyle too. Kyle, really good Green Lantern. I think he gets shortchanged a lot. But John, I always really liked John. He's been given some good storylines. He's been given some bad storylines. But I got mad props of respect for John Stewart. I really like him. And he's an excellent Green Lantern. And, some ways I think he should be featured a little bit more in DC projects. He's one that's, would fill in a lot of gaps. First off, it's pretty obvious. You get the people who are like, hey, all these people are white, dude. So, I'm sure that'll upset the people who are like, why is that guy not white? But, who cares about them, right? He's always been a very compelling character. Again, he's been handed some crap, but he's dealt with it, and he's came out on top. So, John Stewart for number 10. Number 9, John Walker, and I don't know if this one's fair, okay? Because I don't like John Walker, okay? That's not what I'm saying. I love the storyline with him as Captain America, though. Because it was, to me, it was what that Azrael Batman story was. There's this guy, you just can't stand him, and then he goes nuts, and then the old hero has to come in and save the day. The difference was the old hero was fired instead of injured. And Batman had to come back and beat up Azrael. It was almost the exact same story. I said that when it happened, and I still say it now. Those two borrowed from each other. They borrowed from Captain America, because that happened a few years before Azrael. So, again, I'm pretty sure that, and it wasn't as, the thing is, John Walker's time as Captain America wasn't as widely hyped as that Azrael one. So, sometimes it's forgotten about. But I like that storyline, so I kind of give it to him for that reason. But, I don't like John Walker. John Walker's an asshole. Pure and simple, he's an asshole. So, again, that's a hard one to call, but, I put it in there anyway. Number 8, the Eradicator. Now, here's another one I felt was borrowed a little bit. The Eradicator is a suit that has sentience as a program. It wants Superman to wear him all the time, and it's like, wait, isn't this Venom? Except the Eradicator isn't the same thing. And again, he was the one in the Reign of Superman who ultimately actually died in Reign of Superman. Although he didn't actually die, but it came across that he did. So as far as everybody knew, and he knew, at the time, he did die. So, yeah, that's the Eradicator. That's what kind of why I liked him. He was kind of like my favorite of those four. There's Cyborg, Superman, Steel, Superboy, and then the Eradicator. The Eradicator was my favorite of those bunch. But he didn't make it. And that's alright, he was kind of interesting. And, so, That's why he's on the list. Number 7, Falcon as Captain America. You're going to notice a lot of Captain America on this list. This one, sad to say, it was a lot of controversy at the time. And yet it was the most natural move to make. I didn't understand it. Well, nah, we understand it. It was motivated by, anyway. Cause I'm just gonna say it. Every time it comes up that Sam Wilson is Captain America, or has been Captain America, or whatever, people say, look, man, it's not about race, but, and then talk for 5 minutes, red-faced, about race. And I'm just like, shut up. Just shut up. It is about race. Don't tell me that. Sam Wilson has been Captain America's partner, for lack of a better term, since the 1970s. Of course he was a natural choice to be the next Captain America. Duh. Didn't know we had to spell all this out for you. Duh. Now, in the MCU version, people complain that Bucky didn't get it. Now, I kind of see that because Bucky, while he's better, he's not whole yet. And that's why he couldn't take the shield. So, again, now I'm going to say too, the thing is that, there were some things about Sam's takeover of the mantle that were not handled well. I will say that up front. I do think that. So, that aside there, still, I do dig Sam Wilson as Captain America. Number 6, and you probably saw this one coming, Jane Foster as Thor. I just really like that storyline. I like when, female Thor shows up. I like the wait to reveal her to be Jane Foster. I like when we find out what happened. That's just a cool story to me. And people freak out over the female Thor, and I'm like, oh man, come on. You see it right now with Thor Love and Thunder. People are freaking out about it now. They have no issues with an alien. They want the alien. They want Beta Ray Bill. But they don't want a woman. I'm so confused by that. And the thing is, Beta Ray Bill never actually replaced Thor. Thor became unworthy when Jane Foster picked up the mantle. Simple as that. In a real simple way for her to take the mantle too. It was just really good. And it's a good storyline. I liked it, and I still like it, and I don't know, some people just confuse me. Number 5, Barry Allen as the Flash. No, not when he came and replaced Wally West. I actually hate that. I'm talking about when he replaced Jake Herrick. Technically, that is what happened. Flash runs up in the Silver Age and is a totally different dude than he was in the Golden Age. Which is cool, actually. I don't mind that. Change is good. And, Barry replaced Jay. Wally replaced Barry. Then we went back and Barry replaced Wally. Why is that? I don't know. Oh, because we want it the way it was. Look who's in charge of DC. Yeah, anyway. All things come around in circles, right? Yeah. Unless you're them. They don't see them. Okay, moving on. So on this one I'm going to cheat a little bit because I want to discuss my confusion on this, because every time I turn around, DC tries to explain how Alan Scott has the same ring powers that Hal Jordan has, except for, he has a weakness to wood, which is kind of ironic since they did make the character gay. Oh, yeah, I said it. Alright, so, no, in all seriousness, I really like Alan Scott. I've really always liked Alan Scott as Green Lantern. I've always been confused on how he fits, and it seems like every couple of years there for a while, they came up with another story as to why Alan Scott was different. One was that the Guardians made a ring that did not have the yellow impurity. So, and then the guy who had it thought he was bigger than anyone else. So the Guardians added in a weakness to wood so that the peasants that he tried to shit on would be the only ones that could use that, only ones that could beat him up. And then it got thrown into space and landed on Earth, and Alan Scott found it or something like that. And okay, that was okay for a while. And then there was another story that I can't remember, and because the parallax thing got taken out, and that didn't make any sense. And then there was another one, and then so yeah. So Alan Scott, to me, he keeps coming back and kind of almost replacing Hal in some ways. So I'm counting him as a replacement just because, most of the stuff we know about Alan Scott didn't come about until after Hal Jordan. And it came through Hal Jordan. So that's why I'm counting him. Okay, so I cheated. Sue me. It's my channel. Alright, next is the Spirit of 76 as Captain America. Because, alright, your what if story is so good, it actually ends up becoming part of the history of the Marvel Universe. You did something good. And that's what happened with What If 4. What if the invaders had stayed together after World War II? So, it's that simple. It's one of the first What If books I ever picked up. And the day I discovered that it ended up becoming part of the official Marvel Universe, in a weird twist of events, was one of those days I was kind of like, oh wow, cool. So I own a piece of Marvel history here. So again, it's one of those things this is a little bit of nostalgia on my part because, again, this was one of my earliest comic books. But at the same time, it made perfect sense. Why not make it part of the official stuff? And so they did. And so Spirit 76 becomes one of my favorite replacements just because of that story. The story's really good. If you've never read it, go get a digital copy or something, or a trade or something like that. It's really good. Okay. So, one of the big things I hear with the Jane Foster thing is I hear people who really don't know their comic history because they don't know this fact. They go, well, there have been characters similar to Thor, like Thunderstrike, but no one ever actually replaced Thor. And I point to Eric Masterson. And they're like, well, no, didn't they share a body? I'm like, no, Thor was banished, dude. Odin banished him. And Eric Masterson became solely the Thor after that. And which infamously led to him using a machine gun. Thor using a machine gun, just imagine that. Okay, think about it. And, that's what I mean. Yeah, there was a replacement for Thor for a time. His name was Eric Masterson. When Thor finally returned, then Thunderstrike, the mace, was made for Eric Masterson, and then later his son took it over. So, yeah, you're kind of off base. You can pick up the powers of Thor. And, there's a lot of questions about that, but I'm not going to get into every single bit of the questions. But I will point out that has happened before this. Nobody batted an eye. Because it's a white dude with blonde hair and blue eyes. Probably. Who knows? It is what it is. And number one, Kyle Rayner. Now, before everybody jumps my case and says, hey, wait, you said John Stewart was your second favorite Lantern. That's right. That's not what this list is. This is my favorite replacements. Now, what that means. Okay. I said earlier, Kyle Rayner gets the short end of the stick a lot of times for his time as a Green Lantern. People act like he was just nothing, he didn't matter. I really liked his first appearances. I really liked those first couple of storylines. And then one thing I really did like was that, he was an artist. They kept those creative constructs coming, which was really cool and interesting. And there was a good block of Green Lantern there with Kyle that I thought was some of the most interesting stuff I'd read in years. A lot of it was like, well, Kyle had no idea what he was doing. He was kind of winging it. And that was one thing that was compelling about it. And there was, no core. I mean, he was on his own. He wasn't quite sure what to do. And again, it just got very, very interesting with Kyle. So that storyline really is it. So that's why he becomes my favorite replacement. Is because he just had a very compelling storyline. Now, granted, after a while, it kind of nosedived. And they just kind of made him like, Hal clone. I don't really know what the motivation was behind that. But his whole character changed. But previous to that, yeah, he was a pretty cool character. So that's pretty much my favorite replacements. Honorable mention to Jim Rhodes. Thank you for taking care of Tony during his alcoholism, buddy, and putting on that suit and fighting the secret war for us. But anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll come up with another list soon sometime, okay? Alright, bye for now.